Senator Hunt, you're recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate Senator Conrad for putting in the work to put this amendment together. You know, the amendment really reflects what a lot of opponents of the bill have been saying all along, which is the solution isn't a ban. It's never a ban. It's labeling. It's information. It's consumer choice. It's making sure that the people who are potentially buying these products know what they're actually getting, and transparency. And, you know, we're in an era right now where at the federal level, they're gutting the FDA. I read some quote this weekend in the news that the Trump administration wants to send food regulation and whatever back to the states. And I understand that LB246 is trying to be basically like a food regulatory bill, I suppose. But I think we have to look at how the system already works and the transparency that we already have for products and say, you know, I think that system's working pretty well. Listening to proponents of the bill speak, it feels like kind of a protectionist attitude about certain industries. But, you know, plant-based proteins, vegetarian alternatives, that's an industry too. And the person that wants to buy a steak from a cow, beef, and the person that wants to buy, you know, grasshopper steak, or I don't even know what it would be because it's not even on the market in Nebraska, that's not the same consumer. And that product would never be labeled the same. And the solution, if anybody is worried about that, is to just codify what's already happening, which is labeling. This amendment is a good faith effort to bring LB 246 closer to a workable and fair policy. Under this amendment, any food product that resembles animal protein but is made from plants, insects, or cultivated cells must include a qualifying term like plant-based, lab-grown, vegan, cell-cultured, or any similar language that would apply to the product. And that's what companies already do, and it's what consumers already expect. This is how food regulation already works. If you sell oat milk, you label it oat milk. If you sell veggie burgers, you label it veggie burgers. We don't ban it. We just trust people to read. We trust consumers to make the right choices for their pantries and their fridges and freezers and their families. And AM 882 preserves that trust while ensuring transparency in marketing and packaging. This amendment also avoids treating cultivated meat like some kind of public health threat, which it isn't. The original bill classifies it as a public health threat, lumping it in with spoiled food or adulterated food, and that's not accurate. It's not scientifically accurate. That's not what's supported by the USDA or the FDA. And frankly, it puts Nebraska out of step with national regulators in food law across the rest of the country. Instead, this amendment clarifies and ensures that products are clearly labeled with qualifying terms so that consumers know exactly what they're getting, that these products are kept in a physically different place in the grocery store, which I think is pretty generous. I don't even think that's necessary, and that these products are monitored for misleading advertising or branding. That, colleagues, is how you balance consumer protection with innovation. It's how you create public policy that respects public health without shutting the door on future industries. I've said before that I don't believe that banning cultivated meat helps Nebraska's ranchers. What does help them is a fair market, good infrastructure, access to markets and water and broadband and skilled workers. I think that we can support traditional agriculture and still be open to new food technologies like cultivated meat that are going to be coming whether we pass this bill or not. What this bill basically says is when that technology comes, when there's a consumer demand for it, Nebraska is going to shut itself preemptively out of that economy. But the future isn't something to be afraid of. It's something to anticipate and shape and be a part of constructing and creating. What we have to do in this body is what's necessary to bring the future into existence, not keep resisting innovation and the new ideas of the future with bans, ban after ban after ban. This amendment gives us that chance to shape it. It gives us a chance to respond to market trends and consumer demands with logic instead
Senator.
of panic. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Hunt, you're recognized to speak. This is your third opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm speaking in support of AM 882 because I think it's a good fact-based middle ground. It's actually a compromise, which I don't normally, I'm not normally really a fan of that. But this does improve the bill. This amendment doesn't say we love lab-grown meat. It doesn't say let's ignore Nebraska's beef industry. What it says is just let's be honest with consumers, let's be accurate with labeling, and let's not preemptively ban something that hasn't even come into the market yet. Think about what's actually in this amendment. It just requires truth in labeling. It says if you're selling something that looks like meat, but it's made in a lab, you need to disclose that. And that's already happening, of course, but AM 882 just codifies that. It ensures consistency, and it protects consumers against misleading policies. That's a pro-consumer policy. That's government doing its job well. Contrast that with LB246, the original bill, which bans an entire category of products before they're even available in Nebraska. That's not conservative, that's not pro-market, and it's not how Nebraska, it's not how we've ever grown our economy. It's not how we've become leaders in agriculture. We've always been a state that grows with the times, that finds a way to lead in the next chapter of farming and food specifically. We have resources at the University of Nebraska. We have resources from obviously generations and generations of farmers and producers in this state with experience to draw upon. We have a lot of institutional support for those industries. And AM 882 says we can keep doing that. We can keep doing that, not only that, but grow, but do more to bring more economic development and more opportunity to Nebraska to keep feeding the world. Cultivated protein might not be the future for everyone. I'll tell you, it probably won't be the future for me, you know, barring some kind of medical diagnosis or something that prevents me from eating chicken strips every day as I do. I don't think that I will probably be eating cultivated protein. But it will be a part of the future for somebody. Maybe for Senator Kavanaugh, our resident vegetarian, maybe, you know, anybody else. But it will be part of the future for someone. It could be a part of the future for investors, for researchers, for entrepreneurs, not just for vegetarians, honestly. And yeah, it could potentially be a part of the future for farmers in Nebraska and producers who are looking for new revenue streams, or who are looking for different investment opportunities, or potentially for some of your children who are interested in the future of food and want to stay in Nebraska and want to be a part of that innovation. So why would we preemptively ban that and shut it out? When that moment comes, colleagues, when a startup wants to try something here, when the university wants to spin out a research program, don't we want Nebraska to be open to that? Don't we want Nebraska to say, we have room for you to study that and grow that and create that? Instead of the legislature coming in, you know, in 2025, perhaps years before this is even, you know, potentially happening, and say, we can't because the legislature banned it in 2025, thinking they were saving ranchers. You guys are so scared. Look at all the list of bills we have. Look at what we've already done. What's the theme? You guys are so scared. With AM 882, we're not saying anything goes. We're saying if you're honest, if you're transparent, if you don't mislead people, if you say what the hell it is on the package, then the market can decide if they want it or not. And that's the foundation of economic freedom. That's the kind of freedom that I hear a lot of you speak about with pride. We should be able to agree on that kind of freedom, whether we're talking about burgers or we're talking about black beans or whatever. The truth is, this amendment doesn't make the bill perfect. But it makes it better, it makes it more defensible, and it brings us back into a place where the government's role is to regulate, not to ban, to inform consumers, not to censor innovation. So I think that this amendment supports a future for Nebraska agriculture. I think it informs consumers. And as someone who believes in limited government, free markets, not letting fear dictate our laws, I urge you to support AM 882. Thank you, Mr. President.